Welcome to our deep dive into monk thinking.
Ooh, interesting.
You shared Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk, with us.
Yeah.
And you're really looking to use these principles to improve your life.
Right.
So we're going to go on this journey together
Okay.
to uncover these principles and apply them to your world.
Awesome.
And it's a fascinating journey.
It is.
And you picked a great guide.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Shetty does a wonderful job
He really does.
of making these ancient wisdom traditions
Mm-hmm.
relevant to modern life.
He does, yeah.
Absolutely.
He really brings it home.
And he's not afraid to share his struggles,
Right.
which makes it so relatable.
It does.
That's one of the things that makes this book so compelling.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just theoretical
Right.
exploration of monk thinking.
Exactly.
It's a personal account
Yes.
of someone who grappled with these ideas
Mm-hmm.
and actually figured out how to apply them
It's great.
to real life
Yeah.
in a practical way.
It's a practical guide.
Right.
You can really use it.
How many people do you know
Yeah.
who leave a successful career in finance
Yeah.
to become a monk?
Not many.
Not many.
It's rare. Yeah.
But that's the beauty of his story.
it is.
He challenges our assumptions
He does.
about what a meaningful life looks like
Totally.
and shows us that it's possible
yes.
to find peace and purpose,
Mm-hmm.
even in the chaos of the modern world.
Even in the chaos. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into that first principle
Right.
that Shetty introduces,
Okay.
letting go.
Okay.
And it's not just about decluttering your closet.
No, it's much bigger than that.
Exactly.
It's about clearing mental clutter.
Yeah.
All those external influences
Mm-hmm.
that just cloud our judgment
Yeah.
and prevent us from seeing our true selves.
Oh,
He calls this Seto Darpana Marjanam,
Seto Darpana Marjan.
which basically means clearing the dust from the mirror of the mind.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's such a great analogy.
it is.
It's like all this dust is built up
Uh-huh.
from societal expectations,
Yeah.
other people's opinions,
Right.
even our own past experiences
Yeah,
that prevent us from seeing ourselves clearly.
right.
So true.
Think about how often you make choices
Oh, yeah.
based on what you think you should do
All the time.
rather than what you truly want to do.
All the time.
It happens to all of us.
I feel like I'm living on autopilot sometimes,
I know what you mean.
just going through the motions
Yeah.
without even questioning why.
You're not present.
That's that
This
dust
is that dust.
that Shetty's talking about.
Exactly.
These unexamined beliefs and
Yeah.
patterns that keep us stuck in a rut,
Make us stuck. Yeah.
preventing us from living authentic.
On being our true selves.
So how do we clear this dust?
Well, he suggests a few things.
Okay.
First, we need to be aware of those influences,
Mm-hmm.
the external influences
That's terrible.
that are shaping our thoughts and behaviors.
So, like, what are those messages
Exactly.
I'm receiving from family, friends,
Media.
media, even society?
Society at large.
Are those aligned with my values?
That's the question.
Or am I being led down a path?
Right.
That doesn't feel right.
That doesn't resonate with you.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But so much of what we believe,
True.
how we behave,
Uh-huh.
is shaped by the world around us.
It is.
It's like we're bombarded with messages
Like simply
about what we should be doing,
yeah.
what success looks like, how we should feel.
It's overwhelming.
It is.
And it's not about rejecting all those messages.
Okay.
It's about being conscious of them
Uh-huh.
and then choosing
Choosing.
which ones to embrace,
And
which ones to let go of.
So how do I know
Right.
which ones are worth keeping?
That's the work.
Yeah.
That's where identifying your values comes in.
My values.
Shetty emphasizes this.
Okay.
Figuring out what truly matters to you,
Yeah.
what principles you want to live by.
Right?
And it's not always easy because sometimes those values have been imposed on us
No.
by our families or society,
Yeah.
and we haven't taken the time to question them.
Like, are they really mine?
Exact.
It makes you wonder how many choices we make
It really does.
that aren't really aligned with our values.
So many.
Right.
He actually encourages readers
Okay.
to take a week
A week
and pause
before making a choice.
before any non-essential purchase
Okay.
or free time decision
Pre-time, okay.
and ask themselves,
Okay.
what's the value driving this choice?
Wow.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
that's a really interesting challenge.
It is.
You might be surprised what you find.
You might.
You might find that some spending habits
Yes.
are driven by a desire for status
Uh-huh.
or approval,
Approval. Yeah.
not a genuine need
Right.
or enjoyment.
Or you might realize you're
Yeah.
spending your free time
Mhm.
in ways that don't actually bring you joy
Yeah.
or fulfillment.
It's like we're so used to operating on autopilot We are
We don't
taking
realize
one.
that we're not making choices
Right.
aligned with what we value.
It's a process.
It is.
Letting go of external influences
Uh-huh.
and clarifying our own values.
Yeah.
It's ongoing,
It's a journey.
not a one-time thing.
Right.
We have to keep revisiting it
As we grow.
as we evolve. Yeah,
Shetty himself went through
he did.
a pretty radical process of letting go.
He did.
He left his comfortable life
I know.
to become a monk.
Huge change.
I can only imagine.
It was a shock to everyone.
What did his family say
They were devastated.
when he told them
When he told them he was leaving finance,
Yeah.
they were so confused.
to shave his head,
Yeah.
wear robes?
They couldn't understand.
Well, they couldn't understand.
Didn't make sense to them.
But for him,
Right?
it was about stripping away
Yeah.
all the external trappings of success.
The superficial stuff.
Right.
The external stuff.
And getting to the core
For the core.
of what really mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
He talked about how wearing robes,
Yeah.
shaving his head,
Yeah.
helped him detach from his ego,
Detach from the ego.
focus on his inner growth.
Simplified his life.
Simplifying it.
Eliminating distractions.
That's a pretty extreme example,
It is.
but I can see how even small changes can make a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe it's not about shaving your head,
Right.
but maybe it's decluttering.
Yeah.
Decluttering your physical space.
Your physical space.
Limiting social media.
Social media is huge.
Creating some space.
Space to breathe.
Yeah.
To just be.
Just to connect with yourself.
Exactly.
So we've talked about letting go
Right.
of external influences.
The external.
But what about the internal stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Those voices in our head.
Those voices.
Just as loud,
They can be so loud.
as distracting as the outside world.
So distracting.
You think we judge in others?
That's a great question.
The flaws we fear in ourselves.
I think there's something to that. Shetty actually talks about this.
He does.
He calls those negative thought patterns cancers of the mind,
Cancers of the mind.
comparing,
Okay.
complaining,
Criticize.
facing out. And he says they often stem from our own insecurities
Oh, for sure.
and fears.
I could see that.
Like when you catch yourself
Yeah.
being judgmental,
Yeah.
it often means
Yeah.
there's something going on inside of you
Right.
that's making you react that way.
It's like we're projecting
Exactly.
our own inner turmoil onto the world.
Projecting our own stuff. Yeah.
So how do we deal with these mental cancers?
It's tough.
Do we just ignore them?
Ignoring them won't work.
No.
They'll just come back stronger.
Okay.
He suggests a more proactive approach.
Okay.
First, awareness.
Awareness.
Be aware of those negative thought patterns.
Uh-huh.
He suggests keeping a tally
A tap.
of every criticism
Okay.
you make, either spoken or thought.
Ooh.
That would be eye-opening.
Yeah, that would be tough.
And then for every negative thought,
Everyone.
write down 10 positive things
Dude.
about the person you're judging.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of positive.
But it shifts your perspective.
It does.
It cultivates compassion. It
Right.
trains your mind
Yeah.
to focus on the good
The good.
instead of getting stuck in the negativity.
And he has a great story
He does.
about those monks
the monks
who are supposed to be silent,
on a vow of silence.
but they keep breaking it
They can't help it.
to criticize each other.
It's so funny.
It's a funny story.
But it's true.
It shows how judgment can backfire
It backfires. Yeah.
instead of helping them
Right.
stay silent.
It creates more noise.
It creates more noise.
More disharmony.
So this week, I'm going to try that exercise.
To tally.
Keeping track of my negative thoughts
It's hard.
and then counteracting them
with the positive.
with positive.
It's powerful.
What about you?
You know that value clarification?
The value clarification.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go through life
Autopilot.
on autopilot. Yeah.
I'm going to try to be more intentional
More intentional.
with my spending
You've better.
and my free time
Your free time.
this week.
This week.
I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground
We have.
in this first part of our deep dive,
First part.
from the importance of letting go
Letting go.
to confronting those negative thought
The
patterns
thought patterns
that sabotage our inner peace.
that sabotage our peace.
Next time, we'll explore
Yes.
how to overcome fear
Overcoming fear
and start living
more intentionally.
more intentionally.
I can't wait.
All right, see you next time.
See you then. So last time,
We explored letting go
letting go, right?
and confronting those cancers of the mind,
The cancers of the mind.
those judgmental thoughts that we all struggle with.
Oh, yeah, they can get you.
They can get you. So now we're shifting gears. Shifting gears.
We're going to explore how to overcome fear
Fear.
and start living with more intention and purpose.
Fear can be so paralyzing.
It can
It can hold you back from so much.
really from living your life to the fullest.
Yeah, pursuing your
The
dreams.
dreams, yeah.
It's often rooted in a sense of lack or insecurity, right?
We're
We're afraid of failing,
deal.
of being judged,
Get judged.
not being good enough.
Not being good enough. Yeah, all those insecurities
And all those fears can keep us stuck,
in our comfort zones.
preventing us from taking risks,
Taking risks.
from growing.
Growing.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be terrified of public speaking
Public speaking.
to the point where I would avoid it at all costs.
Wow.
But you're clearly not afraid of it now.
I'm working on it.
What changed for you?
It took practice.
Practice.
Pushing myself outside my comfort zone.
You pushed yourself.
I did. And eventually I realized the fear wasn't as big as I had made it out to be.
And the more you did it,
The more I did it,
the more confident you
the
became.
more confident I became.
That's a great example
It is.
of how facing our fears
Yeah.
can actually help us to grow
Grow.
and overcome them.
Overcome them.
Shetty talks about how trees in nature
Trees.
are strengthened by the wind.
It's interesting.
Their roots grow deeper,
To withstand the pressure.
making them more resilient
The more resilient.
in the face of future storms.
Like us.
It's like with us too.
It is.
Challenges and even fears
Even fears.
can help us to grow stronger
Absolutely.
if we embrace them
Embrace them
instead of avoiding them.
instead of avoiding them.
He also uses the example of Alex Honnold,
Alex Honnold.
the free solo climber.
That guy.
He famously said
I love this quote.
that he doesn't suppress fear.
Right.
He expands his comfort zone
He expands it.
by practicing
Practicing.
until it's not scary anymore.
Until it's not scary.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
I remember reading about him.
Yeah.
I was blown away by his courage.
He's incredible.
It's like he redefined what's possible
He did.
for a human being.
Truly.
Most of us aren't going to be scaling El Capitan
Without ropes.
without ropes.
That's for sure.
But the principle is the same.
The principle is the same.
By pushing our boundaries,
Pushing those
we
boundaries.
can reframe that relationship with fear,
Reframe it
turn it into a source of growth.
into growth.
So how do we apply this to our own lives?
Shetty suggests this exercise
Okay.
called Audit Your Attachments.
Audit your attachments.
Write down all the things you're afraid of losing.
Losing,
Oh.
both external and internal.
External and internal, right?
Like possessions,
Possessions.
your reputation,
Okay.
your relationship,
Relationships.
your health.
Even your sense of self.
Wow. So it's about getting honest
Getting honest
with ourselves
with yourself
about what we're clinging to.
about what you're clinging to, yeah.
And then he says to detach from those things,
To detach.
to recognize that they're impermanent.
Impermanent.
Clinging to them out of fear
Clinging out of fear.
will just create more suffering.
More suffering.
Everything is borrowed anyway.
It is.
From our homes to our families.
Yeah.
It's all temporary.
It's temporary.
By accepting that impermanence,
Accepting it.
we can appreciate these things even more
Appreciate them more.
without that fear of loss.
Without the fear.
It's powerful.
It is.
It's like by letting go
Letting go.
of our fear of losing things,
The fear of losing.
we gain a deeper appreciation
Deeper appreciation.
for them in the present moment.
In the present moment, yeah.
And it frees us up
It frees you up.
to take more risks,
Take risks.
pursue our dreams
Pursue your dreams.
without being held back by that fear of failure.
Without the fear of failure, yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about letting go of fear,
Right.
confronting those anxieties head on.
Head on.
But how do we start living with more intention?
Right.
How do we figure out
Yeah.
what we're actually supposed to be doing with our lives?
That's where Dharma comes in.
Dharma.
Your unique purpose
Unique purpose.
in life.
Okay.
It's the sweet spot
Sweet spot.
where your passions, your
Okay,
skills,
let's-
and your service to others intersect.
service to others.
It's about feeling truly alive.
truly alive.
Engaged in what you're doing.
You know that feeling
I do.
when you're totally absorbed in something
Yeah.
and time flies by?
Time flies.
That's what I imagine it feels like
It is.
to be living in alignment with your Dharma.
That's it.
You're right.
It's that flow state
State.
where you're fully present,
Present.
engaged
Yeah.
in the task at hand.
It's not always about having a dream job
Not always.
or making a lot of money.
It's deeper than that.
It's about bringing
It's about bringing
your unique gifts and passions
your unique gifts
into the world,
into the world,
whatever form that takes.
whatever form it takes.
So how do we figure out
Well,
what our Dharma is?
Shetty says it's revealed
Okay.
through a combination of things.
Okay.
Self-reflection,
Self-reflection.
experimentation,
Okay.
and feedback from others.
Feedback.
Pay attention to those moments
All right.
when you feel most alive.
Alive and engaged.
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 How are you doing?
What am I doing?
Who are you with?
Okay.
What values are being expressed?
Okay, so I'm tuning in
You're tuning in.
to those moments of joy and excitement,
Joy and excitement,
even if they seem small.
even if they seem small
Even if they seem small.
or insignificant.
Insignificant. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And notice what comes easily to you.
What comes easily?
What are you naturally good at?
Okay.
What do people come to you for advice on?
So sometimes
I'm telling.
our Dharma is right in front of us,
Right in front of you.
but we're looking for
That
something
they're looking.
grand, extraordinary.
That we miss the simple things
The simple things.
that bring us joy and fulfillment.
Yeah. Shetty shares this great anecdote
Okay.
about his experience at the ashram,
At the ashram.
where he was assigned to clean toilets.
To clean toilets.
Not glamorous work.
Not glamorous.
And at first he resisted.
He resisted cleaning toilets.
He thought, I went to a good school.
Right.
Why am I wasting my time doing this?
Yeah.
But the monks told him
What did they say?
he was missing the point.
Okay.
Some tasks build competence,
Okay.
and some tasks build character.
Oh, I like that.
It was through those seemingly menial tasks
The menial task.
that he learned humility
Humility
and developed a deeper appreciation for all work.
of all work.
That's a good lesson.
It is.
It's about finding meaning and purpose
Meaning and purpose.
in every task,
In every task.
no matter how small
How small.
or insignificant it may seem.
And intention.
Intention.
Emphasizes intention.
He does.
Before we embark on any endeavor,
Any endeavor.
ask ourselves,
Ask yourself,
why am I doing this?
why am I doing this?
And it's not just a surface level answer.
No.
It's digging deeper,
Digging deeper.
uncovering the motivation.
The motivation.
And he breaks down motivation
He does.
into 4 main categories:
4.
fear, desire, duty, and love.
Fear, desire, duty, and love.
Okay, break this down for me.
Okay,
Well,
so
that-
fear is often a motivator,
Yeah.
but it tends to lead to choices
Okay.
that limit us,
Limit us.
keep us stuck in that cycle of anxiety.
So, for
Okay.
example, staying in a job you hate
Uh-huh.
because you're afraid of not finding another one.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Or avoiding risks in your personal life,
If you're afraid of getting hurt.
afraid of getting hurt.
Okay.
Then there's desire,
Fair desire.
which often manifests as a chase for personal gratification.
So we want things.
We want things.
Material possession.
Material possessions.
Status. Recognition.
Recognition. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things.
Right.
No, not inherently.
But they don't always lead to lasting happiness.
Lasting happiness
Or fulfillment.
or fulfillment.
Money can't buy happiness, right?
Exactly.
He cites research
He does.
showing that while having enough money
Enough money.
to meet your basic needs
Basic needs.
definitely contributes to well-being,
It does.
but that impact levels off
Levels up.
at a certain income.
About a certain point, yeah.
So chasing financial success beyond that
Beyond that,
might not actually lead to greater happiness.
you're not going to be any happier.
So it's not about denying ourselves those things.
No.
It's about being mindful.
Of the
Motivation
That's a why.
behind our desire.
Or why behind it.
Are we seeking these things
Seeking them.
out of a genuine need?
A genuine need.
Or are we trying to fill a void
Fill a void.
within ourselves?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
And then we have duty,
Duty.
all about fulfilling obligations
Obligations.
to our families,
No.
our community,
Community.
our work.
Our work.
But sometimes
Sometimes.
it can feel like we're living someone else's life,
Someone else's life.
following a script that wasn't written for us,
A script.
so focused on what's expected
What's expected?
that we lose sight of
You lose sight.
what truly brings us joy and fulfillment.
Joy and fulfillment.
And finally,
finally.
we have love,
Love.
the most powerful motivator,
It is.
because it's about acting
Acting.
from a place of genuine care and connection,
Genuine care.
whether it's in our relationships,
Relationship.
our work,
Or our service to others.
service to others.
So we've got these 4.
4 motivations.
Fear, desire, duty, love.
How do you know which one's driving you?
How do we know?
Which one's driving your choices?
That's where that self-reflection comes in. Get
Self-reflective,
really clear
really clear
about the why.
the why behind your actions.
Ask why over and over again
Keep asking why
until we get to that root.
to the root of our motivation.
Chosen motivation.
So let's say,
Okay.
My goal is to start my own business.
Start your own business.
Why do I want to do that?
Good.
Well, I've always wanted to be my own boss
Be your own boss.
and have control over my time and my work.
Okay, good start.
Good start.
But why is that important?
Okay, why is that important?
Why is it so important to be your own boss and have that control?
I guess I'm tired
Tired.
of feeling stuck
Stuck.
in a job where I don't feel like I'm using my full potential.
Using your full potential.
I want to create something
Create something.
that's truly mine
truly yours.
and make a difference.
Make a difference. So your motivation is love.
Love.
A love for your work.
Okay.
A desire to express your creativity.
Yeah.
A desire to make a positive impact.
It feels different
It does.
when I think about it that way.
It changes the whole thing.
It's not just about escaping a job.
No.
I like
It's about creating something new
New.
and meaningful.
that clarity of intention
It's clear.
will make all the difference.
That's the entrepreneur.
It will make you more resilient,
Resilient.
more passionate,
Passionate.
more likely to create something truly special.
So we've got the motivation piece
Motivation.
and the Dharma piece.
Dharma.
How do we put this into practice? What are some practical ways?
He suggests adding to-be lists
To-be lists.
alongside your to-do lists.
So not just checking things off a list.
Not just checking them off,
It's also about cultivating the qualities
cultivating the qualities.
that help us achieve our goals
Right.
with intention.
With intention.
So if my goal is to start my own business,
Starting a business
my to-do list might include
might include
researching my market
Market
research, writing a business plan,
business plan,
securing funding.
funding,
But my to-be list
UE lists,
might include qualities.
quality,
Like courageous, persistent.
persistent.
I love that.
So you're setting an intention
Intention.
for how you want to show up
How I want to show up.
in the process of achieving your goals.
Not just focusing on the outcome.
Not just the outcome.
He also has an exercise
He does.
to assess where you are
Where you are
in relation to your Dharma,
to your Dharma.
called the quadrant of potential.
Quadrant of potential.
A quadrant where one axis
One axis.
is whether you enjoy your work.
Enjoy your work.
The other axis
The other axis.
is whether other people need and appreciate your work.
So ideally,
Ideally.
you land in that quadrant
Yeah.
where you enjoy your work
You need,
and others need and appreciate it.
but sometimes
Sometimes
we might be in that quadrant
where you're good at it
where I'm good at it,
and others need it,
but I don't enjoy it.
but you don't enjoy it.
Or maybe I enjoy it.
And I'm good at it,
Good at it.
but it doesn't feel needed or appreciated
But not needed or appreciated.
by others.
By others, right?
So this helps us identify
It helps you identify
where I am
where you are.
and make adjustments
Make adjustments
to move closer to that sweet spot
to that sweet spot.
where our passions,
Passions,
skills, and service intersect.
skills, and service.
It might mean making small changes
Small changes
to my current job
to your current job.
to bring more of my passion into it.
Bring in your passion.
Or it might mean taking a leap of faith,
a leap of faith.
pursuing a new path.
A new path entirely.
This has been so insightful.
It's a great book.
We've covered so much,
So much.
from letting go of fear,
Pure
clarifying our values,
values.
to uncovering our dharma,
Dharma.
setting intentions
Intention.
for how we want to show up
how you show up.
in the world.
But there's one more element.
One more.
One more crucial element.
The mind.
The mind.
That's where it all comes together.
That's where it all comes together. So we've explored so much already.
Letting go, facing our fears.
Uncovering our Dharma.
Now it feels like we need to tackle
The heart of it all.
the mind.
The mind, yeah.
This is where all those principles
Yeah.
that we've been talking about
All come together.
really come together.
Shetty says, without some degree of mastery over the mind,
Okay.
it's really difficult,
difficult?
to live intentionally serve others.
Okay.
Find that lasting peace we're all seeking.
Okay.
So it's really crucial.
I know we've talked about the monkey mind,
Yeah, the monkey mind.
but it feels even more relevant now.
Now more than ever.
How do we get a handle
Right?
on all these thoughts swirling around in our heads?
So much.
Shetty says there's like 70,000 thoughts a day.
70,000.
That's mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling.
How do we tame those monkeys?
That's the question.
Where do we even begin?
He uses this great analogy
Okay.
from the Katha Upanishad
The Katha Upanishad.
about a charioteer, a horse, and a chariot.
Okay.
So our intellect is the charioteer.
Okay.
The mind is the wild horse. and the body is the chariot.
I'm picturing it.
So the mind.
If the mind is this untamed horse,
It is.
what's the charioteer supposed to do?
The charioteer needs skill and discipline
Skill and discipline.
to guide that horse,
Guide the horse.
keep the chariot on track
On track.
and moving towards its destination.
That's easier said than done.
It is.
What are some practical things we can do
Well, he says
to become a better charioteer?
we need to learn to direct our thoughts,
Direct our thoughts.
not get pulled off course
Of course.
by every distraction
Okay.
or negative thought pattern. He talks about consciously directing our senses.
Consciously. Okay.
He says if our horse, the mind is easily spooked by things,
Yeah.
the wise charioteer avoids those things.
Okay.
So if you know you get sucked into social media for hours,
Uh-huh.
maybe it's time to set some limits
Set some limits.
or be more intentional about what you're consuming,
That makes sense.
curating your mental environment,
It's like we're curating
choosing what you allow in.
what I allow in.
Yeah, instead of just letting your senses run wild.
It reminds me of something I struggle with.
What's that?
Saying yes to too many things.
Saying yes to too much.
What happens when you say yes to too much?
Well,
I feel scattered.
scatter.
Like my mind is pulled in a million directions.
A million directions, yeah.
It's hard to focus.
It's hard to focus.
And the things I even enjoy
Even the things you enjoy.
start to feel like burden.
Like burdens. Shetty would probably say,
Oh.
you're letting your mind be the charioteer,
Oh.
allowing it to dictate where the chariot goes
I see.
instead of the other way around.
Okay, so I need to step back,
Step back.
assess my commitments,
Assess your commitments.
make sure they align
they align
with my values and my overall goals.
with your values and your goals.
Yeah.
Instead of just reacting to every request
It's like I need to pause before reacting.
before reacting.
He also talks about fasting
Fasting.
as a way to train the mind.
It's powerful.
I never thought about it that way.
It's not just about abstaining from food.
Okay.
It's about breaking free from the demands of the body
Interesting.
and using that energy for inner exploration and reflection.
Okay.
He says it's a time
Mm-hmm.
of heightened creativity and clarity,
Because you're free from distraction.
free from
It
distractions.
makes me think about
The vow of silence.
the vow of silence.
30 days without speaking.
That's incredible.
It was a huge test,
Especially for him.
especially for him.
He's a talker.
He is,
Like he is.
like me,
But that silence forced him.
to confront those inner voices.
Those inner voices.
Learn to be present with his own thoughts
Present with his thoughts.
without the distraction of external conversation.
Did he use any specific techniques
He did.
to manage his mind during that time?
He would repeat this mantra,
Okay.
make your mind your friend.
Make your mind your friend.
And he visualized himself having a conversation with his mind.
With his own mind.
So he was intentionally building a relationship with his mind,
With that inner chatterbox.
not just trying to silence it.
It's not about shutting down our thoughts completely.
Right?
It's about learning to work with them.
Learning to work with them.
Cultivate that sense of inner harmony.
Inner harmony. Yeah.
And that brings us to the ego.
The ego,
It gets a bad rap.
it does.
But isn't there a healthy side to it?
There is.
Okay.
Shetty makes a distinction between the real ego,
The real ego.
which is our pure consciousness,
Okay.
our awareness of ourselves,
Uh-huh.
and the false ego,
The false ego.
that inflated sense of self-importance we cling to.
So the false ego is that voice
Yeah,
that tells us we need to be perfect,
perfect.
have all the answers,
All the answers,
be better than everyone.
better than everyone else. It's so sneaky
It is sneaky.
because it disguises itself
Yeah.
as confidence or ambition.
Underneath it all.
It's fear and insecurity.
That's fear and
He
insecurity.
uses that analogy of the ego
Being like armor
armor
made of paper.
made of paper.
We think it's protecting us,
We think it's protecting us.
but it's so fragile.
It's fragile.
Easily pierced by criticism or rejection.
Criticism or rejection.
So how do we dismantle
Right.
that false ego?
That false ego.
Is it about being less selfish?
It's not quite that simple.
Oh, okay.
He emphasizes cultivating humility.
Humility.
Humility isn't about putting yourself down
Okay.
or denying your strengths.
Right.
It's about being open to learning,
Open to learning
recognizing you don't have all the answers.
and being willing to admit
to that
when I'm wrong.
when you're wrong.
Our society seems to reward
It does.
the opposite of humility.
It does.
Arrogant self-promotion.
Yeah, always having the answer.
Always having the answer.
But he says true confidence
True confidence.
comes from humility.
Humility.
Like when we're humble,
We're not afraid to make mistakes.
not afraid to make mistakes.
We see them as opportunities for growth.
Opportunities for growth.
More open to feedback.
Feedback.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
Because we're not threatened by other people's ideas.
He tells a story
It does.
about those monks
Because once again,
breaking their vow of silence
right it again.
to point out each other's flaws.
They can't help it.
It shows how judgment can backfire.
Judgment backfires.
Instead of helping them stay silent,
Right.
it created more noise
More noise.
and disharmony. He
disharmony.
encourages us
To step outside of failure.
step outside of failure.
View our mistakes and shortcomings not as a reflection of our worth,
Not as a reflection of our worth.
but as opportunities for growth
Okay.
and learning.
So instead of beating ourselves up,
Yeah.
when we mess up,
When you mess up,
we can ask, what can I learn from this?
what can I learn from this?
How can I do better next time?
How can I do better next time? It's about offering yourself that same compassion
That compassion.
and encouragement you'd offer a friend.
It ties back to letting go.
Yeah, it does.
That we talked about earlier.
Letting go.
Letting go of the need to be perfect.
Perfect.
The need to control everything.
control.
The fear of failure.
The fear of failure. And he argues that one of the most powerful ways
One of the most powerful ways.
to cultivate humility
Okay.
and let go of the false ego, that false ego, is through service to others.
Service. How does that help us manage our minds?
Well,
Tame our egos?
when we focus on helping others,
Okay.
we shift our attention away
Well,
from
where?
our own self-centered concerns and anxieties.
Okay.
It's a powerful antidote to that me mentality
That me.
that the ego thrives on.
He talks about Siva.
Seva,
Sanskrit word.
Sanskrit word for selfless service,
Selfless service.
and how it can transform negative emotion
Transform negative emotion.
into something positive and meaningful.
It's like that ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect.
When we choose to serve others,
Serve others.
it creates a positive impact.
Positive impact that extends far beyond ourselves.
Beyond ourselves, he encourages us to extend our radius of care.
Our radius of care.
Beyond just our immediate family and friends.
Okay.
Brainstorm small acts of service
Small acts of service
we can do within our existing network.
within our networks.
Helping a colleague,
A colleague.
volunteering in our communities,
Volunteer.
or just offering a listening ear to someone who's struggling.
a listening ear.
Just small acts of kindness.
Small acts can make a big difference.
They can. And as we cultivate humility
Humility.
and engage in acts of service,
Service.
we naturally open ourselves up to gratitude.
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 That feels like the perfect place to land.
It does.
Our deep dive.
Or a deep dive.
How does Shetty define gratitude?
Well,
How do we cultivate more of it in our lives?
he describes it as a shift in perspective,
Okay.
a conscious choice to focus on the good,
On the good.
even amidst challenges.
Amidst challenges.
It's about appreciating the simple
The
things,
simple things,
the air we breathe,
the air we breathe,
the people we love,
the people we love,
the opportunities we have.
the opportunities we have.
Instead of taking them for granted,
It's a powerful antidote
it is.
to negativity and stress.
When you're feeling grateful,
When I'm feeling grateful.
it's hard to feel anxious or resentful.
It's hard to feel those other things.
He encourages us to make it a daily practice.
Daily practice.
Start each day
Start each day.
expressing gratitude for a few things,
A few things.
whether it's in a journal and prayer or just reflecting in your mind.
Set the tone for the day.
Set the tone.
Choose to focus on the positive
Focus on the positive.
instead of those negative thought patterns
Those negative thought patterns.
taking over.
He shares a story
Okay.
about Brian Acton,
Brian Acton.
the co-founder of WhatsApp,
What's that?
rejected by Twitter and Facebook.
Wow.
But even after those setbacks,
Setbacks.
he consistently expressed gratitude.
Gratitude for the opportunities he had. He said,
I'm thankful for the opportunities I've had.
that's a great mindset.
It's a great mindset.
Helped him stay resilient,
Resilient.
ultimately achieve his goals.
Achieve his goals.
Inspiring.
It's a good reminder that rejection can be a gift,
A gift.
if we choose to view it that way.
As we wrap up
Mm.
this deep dive into monk thinking.
Monk thinking. I want to leave you with a final thought
Okay.
from Shetty.
Okay.
He says the ashram was like school This is the exam.
Meaning?
We get to take all these principles,
Letting go,
facing fears,
uncovering our dharma,
taming our minds,
cultivating humility,
serving others,
practicing gratitude
and put them to the test in our own lives.
in our own lives.
That's where the growth happens.
That's where it happens. Be patient with yourself.
Patient.
Keep practicing.
Practicing.
Remember that the path to peace and purpose
Peace and purpose.
is always unfolding.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has been.
Thank you so much.
For taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
Keep thinking.
Thinking.